Now don't be fooled by the wet hair. I actually just stuck my head under running water just to film this video. What do you do when your mood is on the lower end of the seesaw? You go to a different town and not think about things too much. Taking a little break from writing today because Emily is coming over. We are actually planning to marathon the second season of Scream, the TV show, and then kind of just talk about who we think might be the killer. The second week of Camp NaNoWriMo has been a rough one for me because there were plenty of days within the week where I just really wanted to give up. I think I am a day behind, and what's been bugging me about my story at the moment is the fact that I didn't do an outline before I started Camp NaNoWriMo. So while I have been sort of word vomiting my first draft every single day, I've also been basically doing an outline alongside all the drafting, and there were a few days where I was stuck. And although I have figured out key scenes that I want to put in this story, and I have actually written it up there, you can't even see my corkboard. Anyway, I haven't figured it out in a scene by scene way. But what I started to do at the end of last week was I basically put all the obstacles that I want to happen in the story, and then I kind of figure out all the scenes that will happen around that obstacle. I have the conflict, and then I will write down scenes that will happen to my protagonist and all the other characters that will kind of help solve whatever that top conflict is. And obviously within that I'm trying to do subplots and everything like that as well, but I haven't really gotten everything down on my corkboard. So am I making sense? Another thought that came to mind this week was to do with my narration style, and I'm not sure if I've mentioned this in the past, but I tend to read a lot of books that are written in third person limited or third person omniscient. I'm not sure why, I just really enjoy that narration style more than I would a first person type book. Now obviously it doesn't mean that I will never read a first person type book, because there has been a lot of books written in first person that I did really enjoy. I don't know, I like third person. I like the way third person is written because I feel like you get a lot more of the world as well as the character. So I knew going into my story that I wanted to write in third person limited. Now one of the conflicts within my story has to do with my protagonist and another character that I haven't really introduced yet to the story. And their main conflict and relationship has to do with sort of the idea of perception. And so while I was writing, I kind of wanted to make it a point that this conflict existed through the writing style, and that's why I kind of had that dilemma. I quickly realized that it would make more of a statement if I left it the way it is. So hopefully that all works out in the end. So another way that I've sort of been fleshing out my characters and outlining at the same time is by writing a whole page of, you know, their characteristics and how I want them to be. And after I did that, I went ahead and wrote her storyline. Now her storyline is about three pages. And this is basically the journey that I want her to go through throughout the book. And there's no other characters in this. This is just her personal journey, background and backstory, and her storyline, and I've even incorporated, you know, how things affect her. And then when I did that, I went ahead and did another character that she is close with, and I wrote, you know, her characteristics, and then I went ahead and wrote her storyline and her backstory, even though I feel like most of that won't even go into my novel. I think it's good for me to know her backstory because they are really good friends, and I want to show that dynamic really well. She does sort of have a subplot, but it's not really her own. It's a subplot that has to do with my main character. Now I have two other characters that are semi-important to the story as well, but I don't think they have as much of a subplot or a plot. Hopefully by me doing this it will help me kind of mix and match the scenes and storylines together. Obviously the way I have been doing things is not as organized as maybe some other people, but it's sort of been working for me, so I think I'm going to stick to it until I get stuck next. Anyway, that is all from me today, and yeah,